Okay, this is going to be the one and only video you really need to watch about aluminum and vaccines. I think it'll answer all your questions. From a scientist and human physiologist. First and foremost, metals are a part of our body's normal function. Iron, aluminum, zinc, magnesium. They're all metals and our body needs them in therapeutic doses to function normally. They all can have toxic levels, and so we have to operate in that therapeutic zone. Therapeutic zone for aluminum has been determined to be 1 milligram per kilogram for daily exposure. Now, for an average infant getting their first vaccines at about 6 to 8 weeks, that'd be about 5 kilograms of baby, so about 5 milligrams of aluminum can be tolerated. All of the childhood vaccines that they would receive at that visit will equal about 1 milligram of aluminum, meaning we're about 20% of what they could tolerate on a daily basis. Since all humans, babies included, have around 5 to 10 milligrams per kilogram of aluminum already in their bones, that 1 milligram from vaccines is about 2 to 4% of what they've already got in their body. About oral absorption versus injection. Remember, when we are injecting a vaccine, it is not into the bloodstream, it is into the muscle, which means it's going to have a slow and continuous absorption into the bloodstream, not instantaneous. And nearly as soon as that aluminum hits the blood, it's going to be bound up by one of 2 ions that will hold it in the bloodstream. Those are transferrin and citrate, which hold it in the bloodstream till it gets to the kidneys where it is excreted. And about 50% of that aluminum, which is bound to that transferrin and citrate, is excreted every day. And the next day, 50% more. So very little of that ever ends up leaving the bloodstream or getting deposited in other parts of the body. We've seen that in studies with children who get their vaccines and don't, measuring their levels of aluminum in different parts of the body where it deposits. Because we are constantly exposed to aluminum in the air we breathe, the food we intake, it's a very common element. We get more aluminum than we get from vaccines on a daily basis. So even though the vaccine might give a small boost in our aluminum for that particular day, it's much less than the accumulated aluminum exposure that we see on a daily basis and that our body excretes without problem. We have very good evidence from around the world with very big studies showing that there is no correlation of aluminum from vaccinations developing into any neurodevelopmental disorders. In summary, aluminum, like other metals, is common in our body. Large deposits of it in our bone and lungs currently. When we give it in vaccines, we give it well below the therapeutic dose, whether you're considering it orally or injected. It's excreted very rapidly. We know from measuring that there is no accumulation of it in the bloodstream or in the other parts of the body. We know that it has no correlation, much less causation, with any development of neurodevelopmental disorders, including autism. We also know that without it, the immune response for vaccines is not as robust. If you didn't have the aluminum vaccine, you'd have to get more vaccines with more frequency, and you'd have less of an immune response, meaning less protection. Miss anything?